Your house is perfect for our summer. We're all coming for 6 weeks, my fiancée announced with the bright, easy smile she used when she wanted something to sound harmless. Her mother, Denise, didn't even bother pretending it was a discussion. Your kids won't even notice, she said, sipping white wine at my kitchen island. They'll be at camp. I looked at both of them, then at the wall of glass overlooking the pool, the guest house, and the canyon beyond. Every inch of that view belonged to a life I had built with my own blood, my own broken bones, and my own money. I smiled. Sure, I said. Then, before midnight, I changed every lock, every alarm code, every gate credential, and every garage access setting on the property. 4 days later, they showed up with a rented van full of luggage. And that was when the real show started. My name is William Carter. I'm 38, a stuntman by trade, a single father by necessity, and a man who learned a long time ago that the difference between surviving a fall and dying from it is never strength. It's preparation. People hear stuntman and think recklessness, fire, motorcycles, free falls. They imagine a guy addicted to danger and applause. That's not what keeps you alive in my business. What keeps you alive is reading bad intent half a second before impact. I'd spent 15 years getting hit by cars for money, going through sugar glass, getting lit on fire and controlled burns, and doubling actors who wanted to look brave without earning the scars. I knew what panic smelled like, what lies looked like, and how quickly a scene could go from controlled to fatal if one person decided the rules didn't matter. That was why I had survived. And that was why I knew, deep in my gut, that Ava's family wasn't planning a summer visit. They were planning an occupation. The house was mine, not ours. Mine. $520,000, paid without her family, without anyone rescuing me. I bought it after the worst 2 years of my life. After my divorce, after the custody war, after the accident in New Mexico that shredded the muscles in my shoulder and nearly ended my career. I bought it because I was tired of living in places that felt temporary. Tired of landlords, tired of compromise. Tired of telling my kids, we'll see where we are next year. Lily was 11, all sharp eyes and careful silences. Noah was 8, sweet and funny, and still too easily spooked after what happened at our old rental. 2 years earlier, when I was on an overnight shoot, a meth-addled burglar had broken in through the back door at 2 a.m. The babysitter froze. Lily locked herself in the bathroom with Noah and called 911 while the guy tore through the kitchen drawers. Nobody died. Nobody got physically hurt. But after that, Noah slept with the hall light on for 8 months, and Lily stopped trusting any sound she couldn't identify. When I bought this house, I promised them one thing. No one gets in unless we say so. That promise mattered more than my relationship, more than appearances, more than what any woman in expensive heels thought about my boundaries. Ava and I had been together 14 months. In the beginning, she felt like relief. She was polished, clever, gorgeous in a camera-ready way, and she understood my hours better than most women I dated. She worked in luxury brand partnerships, which meant she could charm almost anyone in under 2 minutes and make a favor sound like a gift. She had also seemed good with my children. Seemed. That should have been the word I paid more attention to. At first, she played the role perfectly. She brought Noah a remote control truck. She praised Lily's drawings. She told me she admired that I had built a stable life after everything I'd been through. She'd run her hand over the scar on my forearm and say, "You're the only man I know who actually knows how to protect people." I believed her because I wanted to. Loneliness makes smart men stupid. The trouble started with her family. Denise was one of those elegant, venomous women who treated boundaries like personal insults. Her husband, Martin, was smooth, overdressed, and always asking casual questions that weren't casual at all. What was the property tax? Did the guest house have separate utility lines? Was my home office soundproof? Had I ever considered forming an LLC around the house for protection? Then there was her younger son, Bryce, a tanned parasite with capped teeth, expensive loafers, and the casual appetite of a man who had never once believed the word no applied to him. The first time Bryce came over, He opened my wine fridge without asking. The second time, he wandered into my garage and put his hand on my Ducati. Ever let anyone take this out? He asked. No, he smirked. There's always a first time. No, I repeated. Ava laughed like I was being adorably possessive. Denise called me intense. Martin said, a protective man is a good thing in moderation. In moderation. That was how people like them talked about limits. Like flavoring. Like something to be adjusted for their comfort. The real crack opened because Lily forgot her sketch folder in Ava's car. Ava was upstairs showering before a dinner event. I went outside to get the folder from the passenger seat. Her tablet was lying on the console, lit up with a new message banner. Denise, tell him 6 weeks minimum. 2 won't be enough to settle. I should have turned away. I didn't. The tablet wasn't locked. One tap, and a family group chat opened. The title was Summer at Williams. My thumb went cold against the screen. Bryce, guest house for me, right? Need privacy for calls. Denise, main house for us. We'll shift things once we're in. Martin, what about his kids? Ava, camp starts June 8th. They'll be gone most of the time. Denise, perfect. Easier without the children underfoot. Then another. Ava, don't mention how much stuff you're bringing. Once you arrive, he won't make a scene. And another. Denise, move the wedding up if you can. Easier to talk shared assets. After, my heart didn't pound. It slowed. That's the thing people don't understand about real fear. Sometimes it doesn't make you frantic. Sometimes it makes you precise. I kept reading. They talked about redoing my bedroom, taking over my office, hosting friends for a July weekend because the place was wasted otherwise. Denise wanted my kitchen decluttered. Bryce called my house basically empty in summer. Then Martin wrote something that made the back of my neck tighten. Ask him to leave the office unlocked. Don't make it weird. My office contained a safe. Not cash, not jewelry, not movie memorabilia. Evidence. A year earlier, my friend Nate Fallon had died on a set in New Mexico during a precision rollover stunt that should never have gone wrong. Officially, it was an equipment failure. Unofficially, several of us believed the production company altered safety paperwork after the fact. Nate's widow had a civil case brewing, and I had copies of raw footage, call sheets, voice messages, and internal emails that someone had quietly sent me before legal teams started circling. Only a handful of people knew I had that material. Ava was one of them. I had told her on a bad night after too much bourbon when she asked why I still woke angry some mornings. She'd held my hand and told me she understood. Now her stepfather wanted my office open. I set the tablet down exactly where I found it, took Lily's folder, and went inside. At dinner, Ava chatted about floral arrangements and honeymoon resorts. I watched her pass Noah the soy sauce and ask Lily about camp activities, and I felt something ugly settle into certainty. She wasn't naive. She was participating. That night, after the kids were asleep, I called Owen Mercer, former military contractor, current private security consultant, one of the few people I trusted without qualification. He arrived at 10:30. I showed him screenshots I'd taken. He read them once and said, "How loud do you want this? Quiet until it can't be quiet anymore." By 1 a.m, every lock had been rekeyed. The gate system was reset. The alarm got new codes. The office door got a reinforced cylinder and secondary sensor. Owen rerouted all camera alerts to me and set the property lines to flag any attempt to force entry. Before he left, he asked, "You ending it tonight?" "No." "Why?" "Because I want to see how committed they are." He nodded. "Then be ready when they commit." The next twist came from camp. There was an outbreak, staffing problems, and a sudden cancellation of the main program. The kids weren't going. Noah looked like he was trying to be brave when I told them. "So we just stay home?" he asked. "With me," I said. Lily's eyes sharpened immediately. She caught the meaning before Noah did. I said nothing to Ava. That evening, she came over with takeout, kissed me, and asked if I'd confirmed camp drop-off. I told her there had been a change and watched her face carefully. Not concern, disappointment. She hit it fast, but not fast enough. 2 nights later, Lily knocked on my bedroom door after midnight. She was holding a tiny round device between two fingers. "Dad," she whispered, "I found this in my backpack." It was an AirTag. My pulse spiked. Where? Inside the lining. It was half sewn in. Noah stood behind her in the hallway, clutching his stuffed wolf. "Is it bad?" he asked. I kept my voice level. "It means someone wanted to track the bag." Lily said very quietly, "Ava helped me pack." That was the moment I stopped thinking in terms of suspicion. That was confirmation. Not just lies to me. Not just entitlement. She had involved my child in a plan my child didn't understand. I sat awake until dawn, not angry anymore. Anger is hot. This was colder. By morning, I had called my lawyer. The van arrived at 11:47 a.m. on a hard blue California day that made everything look too bright to be ugly. Ava was in front. Behind her came Denise in a sun hat and white linen, Martin in a golf polo, Bryce in mirrored sunglasses, and a rental van packed so full it looked like someone was moving across state lines, not visiting for 6 weeks. There were wardrobe boxes, grocery crates, lamps, a dog bed, 3 coolers, folding chairs, garment bags, a boxed espresso machine, plastic bins labeled summer and kitchen. Not guests. Occupiers. The gate buzzer rang once, twice, then continuously. Lily stood beside me in the kitchen, watching the monitor. "That's too much stuff." Noah peered under her elbow. "Why do they have a whole van?" "Because some people arrive in the shape of a favor when they mean to become a problem." Ava called. "Babe," she said lightly, "the gate isn't opening." "I know." "What do you mean, you know?" "I changed the access." Pause. "Why?" "Because I decided to." Her voice tightened. "Stop kidding and let us in." "No." A longer silence. Then Denise, sharp and furious in the background. "Put me on speaker." Ava did. "William," Denise said, "we've been standing outside for 10 minutes. That sounds unfortunate. We have dinner reservations. Open the gate." "No." Ava laughed once, but there was nothing amused in it. "What is this?" "The part where you leave," Martin cut in. "We drove 2 hours with a van full of luggage. That was your mistake." Bryce stepped up to the keypad, jabbing at it. "Did the thing glitch?" "No." He looked toward the stone wall. "I can just hop it." "You can try," I said. "Security's already rolling." That checked him. I stepped out onto the front path where they could see me through the bars. The kids stayed in the entryway behind me. Ava's face changed the second she saw them. She hadn't expected them to be there. "Sweethearts," she called brightly. "I thought you'd be at camp," Lily said. Ava stopped. Denise shot her a look. There it was. Naked, brief. Enough. I held up my phone. "Want me to read your messages out loud?" Nobody answered. Not one of them denied it. Ava's color dropped. Martin went still. Denise straightened like a woman deciding whether to bluff or attack. So I helped her. "Once we're in, he won't make a scene." I glanced at another screenshot. "Kids gone, June 8th, house basically empty." Noah looked up at me. "Empty." I kept my voice even. "You planned this. You packed for this. You lied for this." Ava moved closer to the gate. "William, please. Let me explain. No. It's not what it looks like. It looks like a family trying to move into my house without consent." Denise snapped. "That's dramatic." "No," I said. "That's accurate." Ava tried tears next. "I was trying to help my family with my property. I didn't think. I know." That landed. Martin stepped forward. "All false reason now. Let's calm down. Nobody's forcing anything. We just need a temporary arrangement." "Need?" I asked. The word slipped out before they could stop it. Denise's face hardened. I looked from the van to the bins to Martin's clenched jaw. A shape formed instantly. "This isn't about summer," I said. "You need somewhere to stay." Silence. Then Bryce muttered, "Mom, just tell him." "Be quiet," Denise hissed. I looked at Ava. "Did you know?" Her mouth opened, then closed. That was answer enough. But then Martin ruined the performance. "The condo sale is delayed," he said tightly. "We're between places." Denise whirled on him. I said be quiet. Ava stared at them both. Sale delayed? Nobody spoke. She looked back at me, confused now in a way that felt real. You told me escrow was routine, she said to Denise. Denise didn't answer. Bryce laughed bitterly. There is no routine escrow. There's a foreclosure notice. Everything stopped. Ava blinked. What? Martin snapped. That's not the word. That's exactly the word, Bryce shot back. You lost the condo after that insane investment blew up, and now everybody's acting like this was some cute family retreat. Ava turned white. You told me we just needed 6 weeks, she whispered. Denise lifted her chin, and this house was the obvious solution. There it was. Not love, not family bonding. Not some temporary summer plan. My house was their lifeboat. My children's peace was collateral. And Ava, whether she knew the full financial disaster or only part of it, had still decided I would absorb the damage. I took one step closer to the gate. No. Just that. No courtroom speech. No shouting. No. Ava pressed both palms to the bars. William, I swear I didn't know all of it. You knew enough. I thought once we were married. I laughed then. Once. Because that sentence contained the entire rot. Exactly, I said. You thought marriage would make theft sound like sharing. She flinched. Denise found her voice again. This is cruel. No. Cruel is calling a child's home empty because you want the pool. The kids said nothing, but I could feel them behind me like a reason I would never betray. Then Lily spoke, calm and devastating. You put a tracker in my backpack. Ava looked shattered. That was for safety. You didn't tell me. Noah's little voice followed. You wanted us gone. Ava began crying. Real tears, probably. Too late. I turned to the camera over the gate and knew Owen, parked down the road, could hear everything. He stepped into view at exactly the right moment. Phone in hand. Everything documented, he called. Yep, I said. Bryce backed away from the wall. Martin swore. Denise hissed. Get in the car. Ava didn't move. Please let me talk to the kids. No. Please. Lily answered for herself. I don't want to. That was the final cut. Ava folded inward, one hand over her mouth. Denise grabbed her wrist. Martin started barking about hotels. Bryce muttered something about how he'd said this would blow up. I watched them unravel in my driveway and felt nothing that looked like triumph, only clarity. After they left, Noah finally cried. Not loudly, just that crushed, little, silent crying children do when they're trying to be brave because adults are already tired. I knelt and held him. Lily stood beside us, rigid and furious, and trying not to shake. I'm sorry, I told them both. You didn't let them in, Noah said into my shirt. Never. Lily looked up at me. Were you really going to marry her? I took a breath. Yes. Why? Because people can admire your wounds while still planning to use them. Because I was lonely. Because being needed can sound too much like being loved. Instead, I said, because I was wrong. She considered that, then nodded once. Okay. That night, I ended the engagement through my attorney. Then I called Nate Fallon's widow. That conversation gave me the last twist in the whole rotten story. Martin's bad investment wasn't random. It was connected to a financing group tied to the same production company involved in Nate's death. If the civil case exploded, that investment cratered harder. Suddenly, his weird interest in my office, my safe, and what I kept locked away there made horrible sense. Maybe Denise knew. Maybe Ava knew. And everyone else was just selfish in more ordinary ways. At that point, it barely mattered. Ava had already failed every test that counted. Weeks later, Julia Fallon's legal team took copies of everything I had. I handed it over gladly. If Martin thought my house was a soft entry point to making evidence disappear, he had chosen the wrong man. You don't spend 15 years in stunt work without learning to protect the chain of proof after an accident. Too many dead men get rewritten by people with better lawyers. Summer changed after that. Camp was gone, so I stayed home more. Lily painted a mural on the guest house wall. Pink, desert sky, black mountains, hidden foxes in the brush. Noah built obstacle courses out of pool noodles and folding chairs, and demanded I run them like I was training for an action sequence. We made pizza dough from scratch. We rode horses at dawn in the canyon. We watched old black and white movies during heat waves and slept with the doors open to the sound of crickets and the pool filter humming softly in the dark. The house felt different. Not bigger, safer. Once, while we were eating pancakes on the terrace, Noah looked around and said, "It still feels like ours." I put my coffee down and said, "It is ours." Lily watched me for a second, then gave the smallest smile. That was all I needed. Months later, I saw Ava once at a hotel bar, after an industry safety panel. She looked tired in a beautiful way, composed, polished, cracked underneath. She said my name. I stopped. "I sent that note because I meant it," she said. I had received it through my attorney weeks earlier. 3 pages of apology, confession, and 1 line that mattered. I kept telling myself temporary selfishness wasn't betrayal. "I know," I said. She swallowed. I found out later, my mother asked a tenancy lawyer what qualified as established residency. I didn't know she'd gone that far. Would it have stopped you? She was quiet long enough for honesty to arrive. "Not soon enough," she said. That was the most truthful thing she had ever given me. "You didn't lose me because of your mother," I told her. "You lost me because every time you had to choose between my trust and your convenience, you called convenience temporary." Her eyes filled. "You're right." And that was it. No dramatic reunion. No second chance. No last kiss under hotel lighting. Just a woman finally understanding that damage doesn't become smaller because you intended to explain it later. By spring, Noah had stopped checking the window locks before bed. Lily asked me for her own emergency gate code, and when I gave it to her, she looked prouder than if I'd handed her car keys. Nate's widow settled her case. 2 executives quietly resigned. Martin's investment group folded. Denise downsized and told people it was intentional. Bryce vanished into some sun-bleached city, where men like him always think luck will restart. And me? I kept the house. More importantly, I kept the promise. People think the big moment in a story is the confrontation, the shouting, the gate, the humiliation. It isn't. The real moment happens earlier, in silence. It happens when someone tells you your home is available, your children are inconvenient, your boundaries are negotiable. Your love is leverage. It happens when you see the hit coming, and instead of hoping it misses, you move. That summer, I lost a fiancé, but my son slept through a thunderstorm without waking. My daughter painted impossible skies on the guest house wall, and both my children learned something I wish I had learned sooner. No one gets to call your home empty while you're still standing inside it.